In the beginning, it was explained that for thousands of years, those who could commune with the spirits overflowing in the world had saved the people from the demon folks' invasion. And now, that was something only Lars could do. He was asked if he would accept it. The scene then shifted to a place where Lars was called. Someone mentioned that it was up ahead, the place where the target was this time. Lars replied that it seemed to be past that corner, deep in the grand hall. The other person commented that it was a nice spot and asked if it was alone. Lars didn't think that the feeling indicated it was alone. Kristoff then said that they should do it and end it this time. He asked everyone if they were ready. Barton, Lily, and Kjukka all responded positively. Kjukka told Barton to keep his voice down, or he would tip it over. Kristoff called it a big match and mentioned that he was getting jitters again before the fight. Barton, fired up as always, said that it was what they called war shivers. Lily thought to herself that it was always settled quickly. Lars noticed that they were cracking jokes and looked calm, but the fire spirits were gathering. Deep down, they were scared. The spirits answered emotions, gathered them, and amplified that intent. In a labyrinth, especially one packed with spirits, any mental state could be shattered. To prevent that, the party spent encounters with spirits to keep the balance. Barton sensed something and said that they should settle down. Lily agreed. Lars thought that it did it, and Barton yelled enthusiastically for everyone to gear up. The scene then shifted to the party fighting a serpent-like creature. Lars thought during the battle that, as expected from Kjukka's magic barrier, the two had held for a long time, and that the moral support was more than enough now. He realized that they had already bought enough time, and thought it was all Lily's turn now. Lily raised her staff and froze the serpent with ice magic, amplifying it with water spirits. As she slammed her staff down, the serpent was completely frozen, and the group cheered. Kjukka said that it was frozen in place, and Barton shouted that they could do this. Barton told everyone to focus fire, and drill it down while they could. Lars wondered why there were so many fire spirits against a water-type monster. Realizing it was not good since it was going to melt the ice, someone then yelled that it was melting, and Kristoff charged at the serpent. Lars shouted that they were running out of time. But Kristoff kept attacking, saying they needed just a little more, one more push. The serpent broke free from the ice and swung its claws at the entire team, throwing them away. Lars turned around and saw the party injured. He thought that with that amount of damage, even boosted by spirits, healing would take time. The situation was bad. Since spirits and spirit arts only worked on others, he could not buy time himself. So the only option left was to retreat. 2 days later, the scene shifted to the outskirts of the third library city, Durail. Kristoff asked where Lars was. Barton replied that he did not know, and Lily said that Lars had gone to water the horse at a spring in the woods where there were also spirits. At the spring, Lars was seen exercising, counting from 298 to 300. After finishing, he got down and noted that his pace had dropped again. He washed his clothes and thought that if only he had taken their place and created a gap for healing them, things might have been different. As the sun shone brightly, he felt like he had seen this warm light before, as if in a dream. Lost in thought, he heard someone calling his name. He thought he was close to remembering something, but was interrupted by Kristoff, who told him to get up since they were heading out soon. Kristoff noticed Lars was still doing strength training, even on breaks, and reminded him that as a support there was a limit to how much training could help. Lars replied that he just wanted to do whatever he could since he was the only one still class rank 2. Kristoff sighed and mentioned that their library's progress had stalled again, but Lars encouraged him, saying they should still hold their heads high. Later in the city, Lars noticed that everyone was watching them. The townspeople welcomed them back as wings without end, calling them rising stars and record setters. Everyone in the city admired them as a royally endorsed powerhouse party with incredible jobs. Kristoff was the hero, Barton the sword saint, Lily the sage, Kjukka the saint, and Lars the spirit art user. Everyone except Lars was job rank 3, which made him feel out of place. The crowd talked among themselves, saying that the third labyrinth clear was closing, and that maybe they would even conquer all 5 great labyrinths. Some mentioned they had never seen a spirit art user before since it was a once-in-a-century rare class. They wondered what kind of crazy abilities it had, believing it could borrow the spirit's power to boost or lower the fighting will of allies and monsters. Since spirits could not be seen by most people, many thought of them as fairy tales. Others reminisced about hearing stories of the Spirit King, the being who maintained the world's balance and once struck down the demon folk with the spirit orb, but most dismissed it as just an old tale. That same day at night, Kristoff told Lars that he was expelled from a party. Kristoff explained that their progress had been stalled for a month and blamed Lars, saying that what they needed was firepower, not useless support magic. Lars protested, saying that spirit arts were not useless, and that both offense and support mattered, referencing what was written in books. Barton interrupted him, saying that even if that were true, they needed someone whose job rank was 3 and not a lower tier, like Lars anymore. Kristoff added that they were not a party that stood still, and were aiming for higher peaks. Barton asked the others for their opinions, and Kjuka said she would follow Kristoff's decision. Lily added that they could not challenge a labyrinth with lingering discord. Lars thought to himself that there was no hesitation in their words. That was just how they were. Kristoff then revealed that they had already found a replacement for him. Jason, the leader of Serving Axe and a class rank 3 axe breaker, appeared and apologized. Lars slammed his hand on the desk, realizing that there was no place for him there anymore. Kristoff, calling him a childhood friend, said that he wanted to send him off with encouragement. Everyone raised their glasses in a cheer to Lars's new journey. Lars walked away, wondering what the past 5 years had been for. Ever since he had decided as a kid to be an adventurer, it had all led to this. In an alley, a group of people stopped him, calling him a dead weight who had finally been discarded. They mocked him for leeching off the rising stars and acting big. When Lars stayed silent, they taunted him to fix it with his useless spirit magic. Lars raised his hand and said that his spirit arts were not useless at all, releasing a burst of aura. Elsewhere, a girl named Cynthia was eating, enjoying her food while someone commented on her appetite. Suddenly, she sensed a large burst of energy in the distance. Using her spirit sight, she saw something others could not, a massive concentration of visible spirits. She wondered what was happening. Back in the alley, Lars's bullies noticed something wrong. Their leader's legs gave out as he saw a huge dragon-like creature behind Lars. Terrified, he fainted. His friends panicked, asking what was happening. Lars, overwhelmed, thought that it could not be, and urged the spirits to burn more and more. Cynthia rushed to the scene, calling out to Lars and asking if he had summoned the spirits. Lars recognized her and called her name. Cynthia checked the fallen man and saw he had no bodily injuries. She said she would get a stimulant. Lars, still shaken, wondered what exactly he had done. The bullies quickly ran away, thanking Cynthia as they left. Cynthia shouted at them to apologize to Lars. Cynthia then told Lars that his spirit arts were amazing since she had seen so many spirits around him. She noticed that Lars seemed down and asked if the bullies had hurt him. Lars said that was not the reason and explained what had happened earlier. Cynthia was shocked to hear that Lars had been expelled from Wings without end. She said he was one of the core members and questioned why they would do that. Lars said that she was probably the only one who would say that since she could see spirits. Cynthia declared that she would protest to them, but Lars stopped her, saying it was fine, and thanked her for earlier. Cynthia offered him a place to stay, telling him to take the last room at the top of the stairs. That night, Lars lay in the room, thinking about what he should do next. He decided to stay calm and avoid being swallowed by spirits again. He refused to accept that his adventures had ended. He thought about the note he had found in a book, believing it must hold some meaning. He considered waiting for an opening in a new party or even trying solo adventuring, but quickly dismissed the idea, knowing he was a support who worked best alongside comrades. As he drifted into thought, he found himself in an empty space, falling endlessly. Lars wondered where he was until a familiar voice called his name. He recognized it and realized that this was no dream. A tall spirit figure with many hands appeared before him, introducing itself as the Spirit King, the ruler of all spirits in the world. The Spirit King said that it was the one who had granted Lars the job of spirit art user long ago and had been watching him ever since. The king praised Lars for never succumbing to arrogance, always restraining himself and pressing forward. Having reached the depths of 2 great labyrinths and deepened his bond with spirits, Lars was now entrusted with new power. The Spirit King told him not to fear and to accept it. As Lars accepted the power, the Spirit King declared him a Spirit Lord, a job rank 3. The king explained that by sharing his mana, Lars could now make spirit power act upon matter. Lars was astonished, as he had always thought spirits only affected the mind and the will of others, which was why spirit arts were considered mere support magic. The king clarified that with fire spirits, Lars could burn, with water spirits, he could cleanse, and that he could even cloak himself in spirit. Lars realized it was similar to Lily's elemental magic, though without the same mana strain. He asked why the Spirit King had granted him such power. The king revealed that another force had interfered when Lars's abilities had awakened earlier, most likely that of the demon folk. Though their king still slept, there were those seeking his revival. After long ages, darkness would once again blanket the world. The Spirit King urged Lars to drive off that darkness, explaining that the labyrinths were trials created for that very purpose. The Spirit King instructed him to journey to the land of beginning to find his true companions and to gain the strength to strike down the crown of darkness soon to awaken. He told Lars to start again from the beginning, to challenge the 5 great labyrinths anew, and promised that he and the spirits would continue to watch over him. The scene then shifted to Lars waking up, wondering if it had all been a dream. Then it hit him. He was now a spirit lord. He had gone through countless scrolls when the truth finally sank in. Lars was now Lars, a rank 3 spirit lord with the skills Spirit Glad and Spirit Command. Realizing it wasn't a dream, Lars's heart raced. Overcome with excitement, he shouted, "Woohoo!" The cry echoed outside the house, catching someone's attention. The scene shifted to the guild, where Lars stood before the receptionist, requesting a favor. He asked her to inform anyone looking for him that he was starting over in the beginner's town and would return soon. He also asked her to wait for him and to deliver a letter to Cynthia for her service. The receptionist agreed, and Lars thanked her for the past 6 months before leaving. Only then did she realize it had been Mr. Lars all along. Lars hurried off, planning to catch the first carriage in the morning. Since the station was on the edge of town, he reassured himself that, with his current strength, he could keep going. "Cloak me," he commanded, and in an instant, the spirits shrouded him. He felt a surge of energy push him forward, his feet gliding effortlessly across the ground. It was the power granted by the Spirit King, and Lars was awestruck by it. He noticed he wasn't out of breath even after reaching the station. It hadn't taken 5 minutes. Thanks to the spirits, his stamina was intact. Lars thought that if he could truly master this power, he might be able to conquer the 5 great labyrinths. All he needed were his 2 companions. He'd figure out the rest soon enough. His thoughts drifted to Cynthia. He hoped to see her again, especially during lonely times. Suddenly, a voice called his name. "Lars." Before he could react, Cynthia appeared and threw her arms around him, sending them both tumbling to the ground with her landing on top. Startled, Lars asked what she was doing there. Cynthia looked at him with determination and said, "I want to go with you." Lars could only stare in surprise.